What up? What up? What up? It's Ibn Web, Quran is some here. Think I'm gonna go with Quran this go round. My guest I have coming on, Lisa Butler. Man, she's special. She's special, and I mean that in such a flattering kind of way as well too. Just what she's been through, what she continues to do, who she's helped, things she's been a part of. It's magic, and we're gonna use that word magic somehow throughout this conversation here. So we're just gonna get to it. Hold tight. There we go. There we go. Lisa, what's up?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for doing this. I know I done poked at you in the last few months or so, and you had some things going on here. For hopefully everybody's good in a better place, and overall just doing well here.
Yes, absolutely. I
Cool,
got to
cool.
figure out how to turn up the volume on my end because I can't really hear you.
Uh-oh.
Uh, so let me try to figure this out.
Sure.
Uh-oh, we're okay. I think we're good.
How about now?
Yes, perfect.
Good, good, good. Now I appreciate you as far as just with everything here. I'm like I shared with you when I talked about this before. This is something I did as a just I don't know, just kind of on a hobby or just winged it and did it and been doing it for probably about a year now. Just grabbing folks, just hearing a little bit about their world here. I mean, whoever's willing to share what here. So like I said, I got a
Okay.
list that I'll never finish, but I'm gonna just try to attack it and see if I could get whoever I can here. And I mean, and you definitely was on it, so I'm glad you gave me a few minutes of your time here.
Absolutely.
Cool, cool. And I'm get a little nosy. I get too nosy. Just tell me, Karan, yeah, we're gonna shut this.
All right, I'll let you know.
I appreciate it here. Hartford, born and raised, or you ended up in Hartford from somewhere else?
Um, Long story short, my mom, both of my parents are from Georgia.
Okay,
My mom is from a little town called Leesburg, Georgia. My father's from Americus, Georgia. And so my mom, when she was in Georgia, she was a live-in, not a no, she wasn't a live-in nanny. She was a nanny for a military family who was
okay,
stationed in Georgia. And the husband, who was actually in the military, he got a transfer to a base in New Jersey, and they asked my mom to come along, and she did. And when she left Georgia, she was pregnant with me, and while in New Jersey is where I was born in Mount Holly, New Jersey.
okay. I mean, this is interesting. The reason I say that, my mom is from Americus, Georgia.
Oh wow.
But she was born grandparents were from down there. Obviously,
Okay.
I'm a Jersey boy, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So now interesting here. Now, keep going. So he's born in Jersey. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was born in Jersey. We only stayed there for a couple of years because the husband got another transfer. He was going to Boston this time, and my mom said, "Nah, I'm not going to Boston." So
I hear her.
she went back to Georgia, and had my two brothers.
Mhm.
And when I was about five, her sister sent her husband to get my mom and the three of us, and we came to Connecticut. So from the age of five on, just raised in various parts of Connecticut, Hartford, Windsor.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. How was your childhood? I mean, everybody says normal, but everybody's normal is different. So how was yours?
Um, I don't know. It's hard to describe what normal is. For everyone has a different definition of
Right.
what normal looks like.
Hmm.
So initially, for my family, it was just me, my mom, and my two brothers. My mom was a single parent for a good while. But when she came, she got herself established, had got a job at Pratt and Whitney, which was one of the big companies in Connecticut that was hiring just tons of people. Most of the people that you speak to, at least know somebody that was employed at Pratt and Whitney.
Yeah.
So she was able to get her job at Pratt and Whitney, and shortly after, probably around the age of 11 or 12, my father came up from Georgia,
Hmm.
and they got married, and now we're in a two-parent household. So my for me, just growing up, it was normal. In a sense, I knew what it felt like to be in a single parent household, but I also knew what it was like in a two-parent household. So I had two working parents, um, just traveling, doing things, always spending the summers in Georgia, giving my mom a break. She would
Oh
send
yeah.
us
Oh yeah.
to Georgia. Like, okay, that's where you're gonna be for the summer. Um, but pretty much, normal childhood. But I always say that my parents, their marriage is the reason why I didn't want to get married. It was, ups and downs. I just see my parents were just like two different people. Like, my mother is a straight, like, homebody, homemaker, um, cook, baker, all of just the Jill of all trades. And my father was more of like this social person. I always say he could talk to a doorknob. Just always wanted to be on the go. Um, and just sometimes opposites attract, and sometimes they don't. So pretty much when I finished high school is when they got divorced.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, even with the childhood, or what kind of stuff did you get into? I mean, was it your typical stuff you do around the way?
Yeah. So my mom and my dad, they always had this thing about education. Even though my father never finished high school, they were big on education. Um, so my first memories of a child, though, was being a part of Project Concern and being bussed out of Hartford into the suburbs to attend school. So I was part of that generation. Um, and then when I entered high school, I was initially going to high school at Weaver High School in Hartford for my freshman half of my freshman year. I was there. So in that was early 80s. So I was involved in the uh, I was involved in double dutch at that point. I was starting to compete in double dutch. I also had joined the Weaver drill team. And at that time, a lot of people don't know, Weaver also had a synchronized swimming team.
First
And
I ever heard of that. Really?
yeah, a lot of people don't know that. And I was a part of the synchronized swimming team at Weaver. So I had all of these things going on. And then midway through my ninth grade year, my parents are like, we bought a house in Windsor, we're moving,
Hmm.
and you'll be attending Windsor High School. And
He
I
probably
just
is
felt like
crushed. Yeah, he's probably
like the
crushed.
whole world had just ended at that point. So the only thing that I continued to be involved in was the double dutch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me back up real quick. This whole synchronized swimming thing, like that. How how were you with all that? I mean, you was underwater for like minutes at a time. I mean, what was going on here?
Yes, minutes at a time, had to wear the nose clips. Our practice required us to wear the nose clip and be able to swim from one end of the pool to the next underwater because, you know, the majority of the time you're synchronized swimming, your body is underwater, so you had to
Right.
learn how to hold your breath for extended amounts of time. um, and it was, it was cool because you saw these things happening at the Olympics, but you didn't necessarily see um, people of color
Hmm.
doing synchronized swimming. And
Hmm.
I just thought, even at that age, that it would be the coolest thing to like have like an all black synchronized swimming team. And I don't know if it exists now, but that was one of the things that was being offered back then to high school students. And it's a shame that we don't have something like that still being offered to students. I don't even think they have a drill team. We used to march in parades. I had my little white boots with the little pom poms and my green and white, and you couldn't tell me anything. It was just a fun time.
And not to harp on the synchronized stuff. How is it competing? Like, because again, to your point, black school and the school of color. I mean, just everybody else is white. I'm assuming, like that you guys, if you can remember those times, like was it that you was competing against? Correct?
Right. Well, I didn't actually make it to that point because 6 months later, I'm being transferred out to go to Windsor. So much of my time on the synchronized swimming team was just practicing, learning routines, um, trying to get things together in order to compete. And that whole rug was just pulled out from under me. And I still hold that against my parents to this day. Like I had a conversation with my mom a couple of weeks ago, and I told her, I said, I still hold that against you and my father for pulling me out. Like, that was such a traumatic. She's like, you're 50 something years old. You need to let that go.
Nah, nah, nah. We ain't letting it go.
I ain't letting that go. Mm-mm.
Nah, I meant to note to myself, so I make sure I know what this little one like. I better not pull it from something because I'm gonna hear about it later. So
You are
mental
going to
note,
hear, trust me, you will hear about it.
mental note. You mentioned this double dutch. What got you into wanting to this jump rope?
Well, it was just a pastime that everybody was doing, and it was something that I knew I was good at. And I had the opportunity to connect with a coach, Pamela Smith. She was a teacher at Fox Middle School, and so she um, was having like an after school program where kids can just come and do play double dutch. And then it turned into her taking that a step further with getting teams together in order to compete in double dutch competitions across Connecticut and then in New York. So I um, was always playing double dutch, even at home, at the school on the weekends. And I was connected with three other young ladies to form our team called Black Magic. And so we were just a force to be reckoned with. I just we were good at what we did. I just loved it. It was a physical sport, so you were able to um, stay in shape. You were
Right.
able to stay out of trouble. A lot of girls were, hanging out with their boyfriends. Some were getting pregnant. Some were just into just different things. And I just feel like for me, it just kept me out of trouble, kept me focused, kept me disciplined. It also gave me a chance to have this connection with a group of girls and also my coach. And we just, it formed a sisterhood, but we also became family at the end of the day.
Nah, it's interesting like what sports can do. And you mentioned even jumping rope. That's one of those sports you could do damn near anywhere. It's not like you
Right.
need a whole lot to get to it too. And you're being a little modest too with all of this, Wall. obviously, y'all was competing, but boy, were y'all competing. Y'all wasn't playing around. So how
Yeah.
did this thing just took off? I mean, when y'all realized these competitions, y'all were just winning. Did that just kept the drive going to get to where y'all ultimately got?
Yeah, and we knew we were, that team when you would always hear that Black Magic was the team to beat. We got to go after Black Magic. Black Magic is the best, and we just heard that, and people knew about us throughout the city of Hartford. Um, they knew, like, when we came, like, we meant business. It was serious. And people look at double dutch more so as a pastime, but we looked at double dutch as a sport.
Right.
People doesn't know what it takes, the endurance to turn a rope at such a fast speed for like 2 minutes or 1 minute, or even jump with ropes turning at various speeds for 2 minutes. That takes a lot, and the strength of the turners, they needed more strength than the people that were actually in the rope jumping. Like, turning rope is harder than jumping rope as far as double dutch. So yeah, we were that team, and we just practiced every single day. My father would We lived in Windsor at the time. Our practice sites was at Parker Center at this point, and every day after school, my father would I would come home. He would drive me to practice and pick me up, bring me back. And if I could just tell a little story about
Please do.
the practice. um well, it was actually, we were living in Windsor, and um the buses never really ran. There wasn't a set schedule for the bus. Like, you may see a bus once a week, I don't know, maybe every other week. So on one particular day, um my father said that he was not able to take me to double dutch practice. And he told me, and my mom had called and told me too, because my mom had worked the shift. I forgot what shift she was working at Pratt, but she was not home when I got home. And so they both had called and said that my father wasn't going to be able to um, take me to practice. They had left me some money to take the bus. Now, it just happened to be that this was the day that the bus actually ran. Um, I didn't even know nothing about taking the bus at that point from Windsor, because I had never taken the bus into Hartford. So I, figured it out, found out where the bus stop was, and actually took the bus into Hartford. And do you know that on that particular day, someone broke into our house while um, while everyone was out. And I just I always think back to that, because if I hadn't taken the bus on that particular day, I would have been in the house when those people broke into our home in Windsor. And it was something that just spooked me from then on out. And my father just made sure, even from that point on, that I was never at home by myself, like after school, or I always went to practice. So it was just crazy that was something that happened, and that was the only time that I ever had taken the bus from Windsor to Hartford, on that particular day.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean,
Yeah, and
yo, yeah. No,
one
go
other
ahead, go ahead.
one other crazy thing about that story is my cousins. They owned a convenience store in Hartford, called Scotty's, and my mom's sister worked in that store. My aunt. the person that broke into my family's home also stole my mom's wedding rings. My mom didn't wear her wedding rings to work. The person came into Scotty's store and attempted to sell my mother's wedding rings to the people that worked in Scotty's. And my aunt, for some reason, recognized those rings, and they held the guy up, trying to say like they wanted to buy the rings, and but they were calling the cops, and they were arrested.
The irony of all that, yeah, they want to still, yeah,
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 it's just
backwards crooks here. Yeah, yeah, look at this.
yeah, and there were just too many things happening that just were like, wow, like this was the only day I took the bus in. They come to that particular convenience store out of all the bodegas and
Right.
convenience stores in Hartford. You come to that one.
Hmm.
It was just weird.
Nah, 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 definitely. But glad your mom got her stuff back. I know a lot of, yeah, but that's crazy, and it's unfortunate your bus experience, your only bus experience, ended up that way too as well. Yeah.
Yep, yep,
Hmm.
crazy.
Now I know even with the practicing and all this other stuff here, you guys expand past Hartford. Y'all going to other states and how, I mean, just everything. Like this was a hell of a ride you guys was on. Like how was it?
Yeah, so we would have like Double Dutch was so big in Connecticut because we had sponsorships from, Otis Elevator and United Technology. So the Girl Scouts of Connecticut, we had all these big sponsors who were definitely um into having these tournaments and having girls to have the opportunity to compete. And even, there were some boys. I think we had like one of the first boys in the state to actually join a team. And so we had boys starting to come and join. And when we had all of these sponsorships, it also gave us the opportunity to travel to like New York, which held the world competitions. And the girls in New York, or the teams in New York was phenomenal. Like they were hard to beat because that's where the double dutch competitions actually started by some New York police officers who wanted to saw this pastime and wanted to turn it more into like a sport and a competition, and that's what they did. And so that was the kind of the hub for where it started. And then we would go from our state competitions. If you won there, you would go to New York for the world competitions. In 1990, in 1983, we had our national competition where Otis Elevator and United Technologies was sponsoring a trip to London, England. If you won, that was like the grand prize. And we competed against 40,000 other girls. In Black Magic, we won that whole thing. Um, and it was just, I was 16 at the time,
Hmm.
and it was just an amazing, experience to hear your name being called as like the grand prize winner. Um, and from there, we, went to London. We were treated like stars. We were made,
Supposed to have been, absolutely.
yeah, and we had this big, humongous send off at the old state house. I mean, we had the governor's foot guard. We had, I don't know if the governor herself was there, but we had the governor's foot guard. It felt like the entire state of Connecticut, definitely Hartford, was out there rooting us on. They had brought in a one of those double decker buses that they have in London for us to travel to the airport.
Okay.
All of our family was there to see us off. we were actually being filmed at that point, because as a part of the grand prize there was a documentary crew that was following us from our winning the competition all the way through our journey to London. And they created this documentary called Black Magic. And it just shows our practices, our determination to win. And also during that time, one of the young ladies on our team, Phyllis Goggins, she had broke the record for the fastest speed jumper that ever was. Like she had like, I think it was like 390 something steps in 2 minutes, and that's only counting one foot hitting the floor for 2 minutes. And so when we were in London, we had our team was trying to get into the Guinness Book of World Records with Phyllis jumping speed. And she made it into, she didn't break her record, but she still was able to get into the Guinness Book of World Records because there was no one in the Guinness Book of Records for speed jumping prior to that time. So Phyllis and our team actually made it into that Book of World Records.
Mm. Interesting. A couple of things. One, was that your first time out of the country going to London, or?
Yes, that was my first time going. I was 16. Um, that was my first time out of the country. It was, it was, not my first time out of the state, but definitely out of the country. It was my first time having my passport. Um, yeah, and it was just you know, it was just a new experience. I have to tell you though, I was completely homesick. I was
Yeah.
when I got
Right away, or?
right away. Like we and I talked to my parents about this too, and we we got to call our parents to say that we had arrived there safely. And
Mhm.
I still remember this to this day. I was on the floor talking to my parents. They were both on the phone at the same time. Because that's when you had the landlines and you can pick up the phone and eavesdrop on, what everybody else was talking about. So they were on two separate phones. Um, and I was talking to them, and they're both on the phone crying and telling me that they wanted me to come home. And
Hmm.
and that they missed me and they wanted me to come home. And then I'm crying and I'm telling all of these people that I want to go home. I don't want to jump. Um, and they were just like, you got to knock it off because you about to do so much. But yeah, I was totally homesick, and it was really because of my parents. They were literally crying and saying, we want you to come home. Like they were scared, like your child is halfway around the world and you have no control over that. And I think that just scared them, like when they thought about it,
Right.
not when it was happening, but when they really got a chance to sit down and to think about it, that freaked them out.
How'd you pull it together and kind of get to it regarding competing while you was out there?
Yeah, I literally had to suck it up. And when I saw the schedule of things that they had planned for us, it was so exciting. Um, they had this big parade that they do once a year over there, and we had our own float. They had made us these silk robes, like boxing robes that had our names on it. We were going to be performing on, they have this show called Top of the Pops, which is like the old American bandstand. We were taking a helicopter ride over London with this group called Kajagoogoo, which was a famous rock group at the time. We had private showings of movies. The new James Bond movie was out, so we got to do like a private showing of that. We had like we were going into the different parts of London, into the schools and teaching kids how to jump. Um, the
Mm.
hotel gave us a private party, like they brought kids in from all over, and we had a whole party in our honor. We got to jump for the Lord Mayor of London. It was just when I saw the schedule and like all the things that we were doing and how we were treated, people were so happy to see us. Everybody was so friendly. Um, I was able to kind of snap out of it and try to enjoy, you know, this tremendous. It was an honor for me. It was a tremendous honor to be able to see the the results and the rewards of hard work. And
Definitely. Never mind just turning rope. I'm sure your hands was hurting from signing autographs too, I'm sure.
yes, people wanted autographs. Literally we were celebrities. The governor had made us ambassadors of Connecticut. We had the gold emblem that comes with being an ambassador. um yeah, so we felt like we had to represent. We felt like we were the first to introduce double dutch to this European country, and they were we were excited to see them and interact with them, and they were overly excited to meet us and you know um, be involved with us and learn double dutch, and it was just a great experience.
Definitely. Part of my ignorance on this. How do they score as far as with double dutch? Do you remember as far as what did they score on?
So there's three types of scoring that happens with double dutch. They have the first one is called the compulsory competition, and it's like one or two people in the rope, and you have to do like two turns on one foot. Then you have to do like you're crossing your legs like a crisscross in the rope, and then you do these high steps. So every team has to do that, and so you're scored on that. Then the second part of the competition is the what do you call, like a freestyle, where you do all your kind of like jumps and twists and turns, and you get real creative. You can do whatever you want, and you're scored on your originality and your creativeness, and if you don't mess up. And then the last part is the speed competition, where you're judged by how many steps you can do, counting um, either the left foot or the right foot. I can't remember which one. I want to say it's the right foot. How many times that foot touches the floor within a 2 minute time frame or a 1 minute time frame.
Okay.
Because you had the singles competition was a team of three girls or three members, and then the doubles competition was a group of four members.
Now, what was your thing? What did you prefer?
Well, I was a speed jumper. So I did speed, and we all did, the freestyle. So we all had a part in that. And I was pretty fast at speed, but Phyllis was, I don't know, I think we were both kind of neck and neck with the speed, but the turners on my team felt like they can keep up better with Phyllis. Um, and Phyllis was she had a very structured, like kind of like uh, jumping style. Like literally, her feet barely went off the floor. She was You just had to see it. So the rope is literally just barely getting under her feet, and points are taken off if you stop or you mess up. So those are the deductions that you would get, and then they take all of those numbers, combine them, and whoever has the biggest score from those three um, events is who they determine to win. And you're jumping against other girls in your same grade.
Okay.
Um, so there's, I think the youngest starts from maybe third grade, teams of third graders,
Hmm.
maybe a little bit older.
Now you mentioned even the freestyles as well too. You had a go-to move with the freestyle. I mean, you could think of.
um, we, you know, we created this move where there's one, so there's two turners, and then there's one of the turners is bending over.
Mm,
I went to jump on that turner's back, and then the other person would come and do a backflip off
yeah,
of
yeah,
me
yeah. I ain't messing
into
with
the
y'all.
rope.
Yeah,
And that was like one of the craziest moves. And Phyllis, who was a daredevil, she did that with such ease. But it was one of the things that we created as a signature move for the double dutch competition.
yeah, yeah. I ain't messing with y'all, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. And it was crazy what you talked about earlier as far as the camaraderie and you ladies just kind of just doing your thing. How important just that feel and probably that non-verbal communication. How important all that was to even pull something like that off. I mean, all that
Hmm.
comes with hanging out with each other and just kind of getting a sense and a feel for one another as well.
Yes, yes. And
Mm.
you go through your times, because it's just like with any family, like, you're not always going to get along. Those were my sisters, so growing up, you don't get along with your siblings, you fight, you fuss, you get mad. So we went through the gamut of emotions, but when it was time to come out and compete and do what we needed to do, we were all on the same page. We all know what we had to do, and everything that happened prior to getting on that stage to compete, that all went out the window because we knew we had a job to do.
Then even from there, the highs of highs, London, like where did y'all go from there? Was that just it? Y'all just dismantled, or did y'all give it another try, or what happened?
No, after we came back, we continued to compete. We also, the director who actually did the documentary was from Maine,
Okay,
and so we ended up going to Maine. We actually stayed in the director's home. His The director and his co-director, the producer, we were all kind of like split up in these different homes when we went to Maine. But in Maine, they had this whole schedule of things for us to do, like how they had in London. So we had like uh, um, we were going into different schools. They had the newspapers to come out to interview us. So we were just kind of not performing, I guess I could call it performing, doing our double dutch routines at different places in Maine, speaking to the press, talking about the documentary. And at the same time, we were still, going to New York to compete in any other competitions that were happening in Connecticut.
mm.
So we competed, when we won in '83, I graduated from high school in '85, and that was the end of my involvement with Double Dutch. I considered going back to be like a coach, but I never did. I just kind of moved on from that. And then when I started my Girl Scout troop in Hartford is when I brought back that, the double Dutch piece with teaching the girls in the Girl Scouts
Mhm.
how to, the basics of double dutch, and also how to learn how to jump,
Mm.
because you don't see double dutch girls playing double dutch anymore.
You're right. I know here and there, I would see they'll try to bring it back in some shape or form, but the
Mhm.
consistency of staying around to stick to it, I haven't seen. But I've seen people try and do it around here. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Now you even mentioned even the Girl Scout. What got you even wanting to be involved and part of it? I know you actually mentioned them a little bit ago as far as being sponsors in the past for your double dutch,
Mhm.
but like, what led to you just wanting to just oversee that and do it for Hartford as far as just having a troop in Hartford.
Well, my daughter was my daughter. We live in Hartford, but she's bus, so she's that new generation of Project Concern. She goes to school in Southington, and she's been attending Southington school since kindergarten.
Hmm.
And around the first or second grade, they were offering Girl Scouts at her school. And she just came home one day and said she wanted to be a Girl Scout. And so the principal had sent out some information basically saying that they know that parents, the parents of students at the school live in Hartford and work, and probably wouldn't be able to have the kids participate in Girl Scouts. And in order for them to participate, they wanted the girls to be able to go with host families after school. And we would pick up our kids from host families after the Girl Scouts ended.
Hmm.
Now, being a just a paranoid mom and a social worker for DCF, my child just was not going to go with strangers to somebody's home after school or after this program that I didn't know.
Right.
Um, and so I didn't know about any of the programs, any Girl Scout programs in Hartford, like the community-based programs that she could join and be a member of. Like I just didn't hear about any of the programs. And at that point, all that I knew about Girl Scouts was that I was a cookie customer and I bought cookies whenever I saw a Girl
Right.
Scout out there selling cookies. So I reached out to the Girl Scouts and said, hey, I want to start a troop. My daughter wants to be a Girl Scout, and I need to make that happen for her, whichever way necessary. So I wasn't really necessarily in the beginning looking for to be a troop leader. I was actually looking for a troop. And
Okay.
when it was, we have some troops, but they're all within the schools, and I'm like, well, how do you not have a community-based troop for girls who are not going to school in Hartford can join?
Hmm.
um so that started the process around in 2012. We're reaching out to the Girl Scouts and saying, hey, I want to be a volunteer. I want to start a troop in Hartford for girls that may be in the same situation as my daughter, to give them to opportunity to be a part of this organization that is about empowering young girls to be everything that they can be. And that's how I ended up. I connected with the membership and marketing manager, Kimi Rabin, and she reached out to me and she said, I want you to, she invited me to come to Faith Congregational Church. One, she worked for the Girl Scouts, but she was also a member at Faith Congregational.
Okay.
And she said, because I think I have a place for you here at the church to start your troop. And at that time, I was hesitant because I lived in the South End of Hartford, and I wanted to do something more closer to the South End and not necessarily have my troop have the troop in the north end, because that just kind of meant traveling for me.
Hmm.
Nothing else more than the travel. And so she said, and I told her this, and she said, well, I'm going to invite you to church. And after you come to church, if you still do not want to have the church inside of faith, or and you want to develop a troop in the South End, we're closer to where you live, then we can do that. So I accepted her invitation. Me and Taylor went to Faith Congregational Church,
Mhm.
and the pastor's wife, not even knowing me, time I walked in the door, she just had her hands open and gave both me and Taylor like the biggest hug and was like, welcome. She's like, I know I haven't seen you guys here before. I know you're new. Thank you for coming. And from then on, we went through the service, and everything just was inviting and welcoming and friendly. And I was in between church homes at the time. And so it just felt like a good fit. And after the service, I, went up to Kimi and said, I'm in. I'm in. This is where I want to have the truth. And that was 10 years ago.
Mm.
And we're still there.
A lot of red tape in the beginning, or pretty much, I mean, having to go through the Girl Scouts of America or whatever you needed to do, or was it pretty seamless?
Pretty seamless. And we, at the time, Pastor Stephen Camp was the pastor of Faith Church.
Hmm.
And anything that I wanted to do with the Girl Scouts, from storing our cookies there, having our different events there, having sleepovers, a camp out, anything that I wanted to do, we had the blessing of Pastor Camp. I mean, he was so just instrumental in making sure that this was a successful troop, and that he knew that we had the full support of him and the faith congregation.
Hmm.
And they just supported us with anything and everything that we wanted to do. Right now, Faith has a new pastor,
Okay.
Pastor Cleo Graham. She's a Black woman from Rhode Island. And she too has just embraced um, the troop, has embraced me and have supported us. They reached out during this time of the pandemic when we haven't been meeting, to secure grant money for our troop to get like a computer to use, get us some storage cabinets. Um, just they're paying for like a at-home paint activity for all 35 girls to be able to do now that we're not meeting, so that they can have an activity to do at home.
Hmm.
So all of these different things are in the works, even though that we're not meeting. But again, the new pastor coming on and offering the support to us just means a lot. But
Oh no, most definitely.
yeah, so this all started because I had a little girl who wanted to be a Girl Scout, and I just needed to make that happen.
Yeah. And didn't even, did you just start off with, I mean, because I know it's a bunch of different ages now. Did you start off with just, your daughter's age group, and then it just grew from there, or?
Um, I don't know if I think it was always a multi-level troop, but we
Okay.
only had a couple of grades to begin with.
Okay.
Because for the first year, one of the other things that Kimi did was she found a veteran troop leader who was willing to work with me for 1 year to teach me the ropes and teach me what needed to be done and how to run a troop. So she came in and she did her 1 year commitment and learned and taught me the ropes of how to be a troop leader, how to go through the cookie program, how to register girls, how to do everything related to Girl Scouts. And after that year is the second year is when I brought on a couple of other co leaders to help, and we extended the age range or the grade range to bring in more girls, because we wanted to have as many girls as possible to, be able to take advantage of joining the Girl Scouts. But we are also only, we have to limit how many girls we actually have, just because there's a ratio that you have to stay within for each troop leader. Um, but we've been able to support, hundreds of girls over the last 10 years. We've been able to see girls off to college, um, and just help them and support them with being a part of their foundation for what they want to do later on in life. And they will always have that sisterhood and connection, to the Girl Scouts and to our troop.
Nah, and you probably just answered what I was going to ask you too, like some of the rewards you get from doing this. But it sounds like you just answered that, unless there's some more.
Yes, that was the answer. Seeing them to go on to do greater things in life and have this empowerment, and having that spirit of knowing that we they have someone that is volunteering and giving back that looks like them,
That's right.
and that we are instilling in them the the need to give back, to make a difference, create change, um, and to go out and just do good in the world. That's what, you know I um, get my satisfaction from. I don't need any trophies or awards or anything like that for this work. This is volunteer. This is something that I chose to do. So that's what's important to me, and that's what I feel like is the accomplishment for me when I see girls going on to, you know, just do great things.
Mm-hmm. Now I know awards, recognition, and all that. You don't want them, but they do come your way when you do things great, such as yourself. You had the 100 women of color here. You got recognized for all that. When you got that call, email, I don't know how they tell you, but like when you was informed of this, like how was that?
It was, uh, I, I was taken aback, because I guess it's not something that you're expecting, because you don't know that you were even nominated. So
Hmm.
the first thing in my head was, who nominated
Look
me
at you,
for
look
this?
at you, look at you. Who not?
Like, I'm looking at everybody, I'm texting, like, did you nominate me for this? And, I finally found out
Look
who
at you digging. Look at digging.
digging, instead of just being like thankful. I just needed to know, because I also wanted to thank that person,
Hmm.
because you never really know what people, seeing you. Sometimes the things that other people see in you, you don't see in yourself.
Hmm.
So to hear like the response from the person who nominated me, and why she did it, and it just touched me. So I was very like appreciative of that honor. I was humbled by it,
Yeah.
and it was just a great feeling, to be nominated and to be around 99 other women of color accepting this award for all the things that they're doing out in their communities,
Hmm.
or just making some type of impact. It was just a good feeling. So when I got that email from June Archer, and I'm just like, is he talking to me? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was good. It was really good. And to be able to take part in that ceremony
Hmm.
and share that experience with my two sons,
Yes.
um, it was awesome. It was awesome. And I also knew other women in the other out of the other 99 who had been nominated as well.
Okay.
So it was nice. It was nice. It was nice to be recognized. like you said, or like I said, you're not looking for those things, but when it happens, it's definitely appreciated.
Hmm. No, no, most definitely, well deserved here. Yeah, yeah, a couple more minutes.
Yes.
Cool, cool, cool. I like just put people on the spot here. Random questions, not so random. You probably, why the hell you usually asking me this?
Okay.
You good? You good with this?
Yes.
Cool, cool,
I'm
cool.
saying yes now, but I don't know.
Yeah, like I told you, when you be like, "Yo, Karan, shut it down," I'll just shut it down. Not a problem. Not a
All right.
problem. When driving, you prefer 84 or 91?
You said driving?
When you're driving, yeah, you prefer 84 or 91?
Oh, 91. Definitely 91. Now that I think about it, 91.
Okay, okay. I know you got some Hartford in you, even though you spent time in Windsor here, but Albany Ave or Blue Hills?
Blue Hills.
Okay. But take you back a little bit here. I mean, you had to get your gear look right.
Actually, I want
Go
to
ahead,
go
go ahead,
back
go
and
ahead.
change my answer.
Go ahead.
I'm changing my answer to all to the Avenue because
Ave, okay.
that was my stomping grounds back in the day. Me and my cousin Pam, we wore Albany Avenue out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I could tell. I could tell. I could see that.
Yeah.
I could totally see that here. Speaking of that, yeah, you had to look right for school or whatever the case may be. Richardson Mall, the Pavilion, or Civic Center.
Ooh, we. It's funny that you asked me this question, and I don't know if I'm supposed to be elaborating on these answers,
Oh
but
no, just your answer. You can say whatever you want.
um, my me and my mom was just talking about. I had read this article about 10 different spots in Connecticut that people wish still existed.
Okay.
And it had places on there like Bradley's and Cowboy
Bradley's, yeah.
and G Fox and Sage Allen.
Hmm.
But my mom, she was saying, well, you remember JJ Newberry's
Hey,
and Jupiter's and all these other different places. And so I had mentioned one of my hangout spots was the Richardson Mall.
okay,
So that's my answer, the Richardson Mall.
okay, okay. Well, we got events here. West Indies Parade or Taste of Hartford on Constitution Ave.
Uh, Definitely the parade. I was just looking at pictures from the other day when we used to get our outfits all coordinated and hang out at that parade. Scotty's, the store that I
Hmm.
was telling you about for my family,
Right.
that's right on the
Hmm.
corner of Mill Avenue and Main Street. So that was the hangout for the parade.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to worry about, needing to, find a bathroom or needing water. My family used to kind of set up and sell different like hamburgers and hot dogs. Yeah, the parade was the place to be back in the day.
Oh, they still hanging out over there. Trust me, I know. Out over there. Uh, 89.9 or 910.
89.9.
All right, give you a little Windsor in this one here. We got Raging Cajun or Lily's.
Ooh. Uh, hmm. I'm gonna say Raging Cajun, and I'm gonna tell you why. Um, I remember Raging Cajun when they were when the chef, and we always called them chef.
Okay.
The chef. I worked at the IRS on High Street.
I got in this call now. Mentioning them letters. I got to get off the phone myself.
Oh, okay.
No, I mess with you. You saying the IRS? I'm just messing with you. I'm messing with you. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I worked at the IRS, and the chef started off as a chef at one of the little bars on the corner right there across from Union Station.
Okay.
So I knew him when he was a chef in the the Union Station restaurant.
Hmm.
Um, and when then he moved to like New Park, and then I think to Maine. So I have a history with the chef from Raging Cajun. So I'm gonna say Raging Cajun.
Okay,
That's
okay.
what I was trying to get at.
And I got you. Springfield College or Windsor High?
I don't know. That's a tie. I graduated from Windsor and I graduated from Springfield College.
Okay.
But they both had their own unique experiences. Um, but I may have to say Springfield because I had a serious attitude that my parents had moved and I had to go to Windsor, and I just didn't want to be. I didn't want to be at Windsor. I just didn't. I didn't go to my prom, even though I had like people ask me. I just didn't want to be there. But I made it through. I graduated and graduated with honors, and
Mm.
it is what it is. I need to let it go, but I can't.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good here. It's all good. Black Magic or Girl Scouts?
Mm. I I don't know. They both hold a special place in my heart. I couldn't even choose between the two.
That's fair. How about Samoas or Thin Mints?
Oh, Samoas. I don't even eat them mints. Samoas hand down. That's the easy question.
Yeah, yeah. Best part about being Lisa Butler.
The best part of being Lisa Butler is that I'm a Black woman. I'm a mom. Um, I care about children. I have a good family. I have strong relationships with my friends, and I feel connected to my community.
Mm. And you mentioned being a mom. What's the best part about being a mom?
Uh, the best part of being a mom, and I tell my kids this all the time. I said I would do it all over again for you three.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. It's not just about the love you give, but the love that I get back from them.
Hmm.
And even when they do stuff that piss me off, or makes me mad, I still go back to, like I said, I would do it all over again for these three.
Hmm.
And yeah, they're good. I have two adult sons and my baby girl who's turning 17 next week,
Mm.
and they're just the joy of my life. I'm proud of each one of them in their own ways, and um just being the parent of them just is the reason why I breathe. I tell them that, you're the reason, they're the reasons why I keep going every day and doing the things that I do. And
Right.
I just feel like it's nothing like being a parent. Um, and some people choose not to have children, some people do.
Hmm.
But for me, being a parent is a joy.
Yeah. And this is probably one of the answers for this one here, what you just said about being a parent. But I know we got a whole lot living to do, God willing here. But with that even said, up to this point, was three of your proudest moments so far?
With my
Your life, with your life.
with my life,
Yes.
um, my proudest moments, just being a parent to my three children, um, working to make a difference in the area of child protection.
Okay.
I'm a humanitarian by heart, so um, my first and foremost, I just feel like I have a responsibility to do what I can to protect children,
Okay.
and just to be involved and to give back.
Yeah.
That's what you know my proudest thing is that I'm involved in giving back to the community, being a part of other organizations as well, I volunteer for the Girl Scouts, but I also volunteer with the program called the Free Center, which has a read and feed program, which provides books and food to the community. So those are the things that, for me, that I'm most proud of.
Mm. Nah, well said, well said. I know from documentaries you've been in to newspaper articles been in. Oh, if there was a book on your life, what would you call it?
Um, let's see. Um, I think it. Let me see. Let's see. Maybe the love she gives.
Oh, she gives. Just mention the humanitarian party. Yeah,
Hmm.
makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. This Lisa, this point in your life here, what advice would you give that 17, 18-year-old senior in high school, Lisa? What advice would you give her?
Ooh wee. Um, I feel like at 17 and 18, I had lived a life that not most 17 or 18-year-olds
Yeah.
had lived at that point. And at like my daughter's gonna be 17 next week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my whole thing with her is telling her is to see the world,
Yes.
experience new things, challenge yourself, challenge yourself. Never give up. And it's okay to question things and trust your instincts, trust your gut.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and explore the world. Don't ever stop exploring and learning. Learn about a different culture.
Yes.
Ask questions, speak to your elders.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest conversations have been with older people,
Mm-hmm.
our elders in the community. I just had a conversation with my father this morning, who's going to be 78 on the 9th of March. And he's like, tell my grandkids to call me. I'm just a walking body of knowledge and advice. And, so those are the things that I would have told my, 17-year-old self back then. Just go out and be great.
Definitely, definitely. Speaking of your father, and I'll add your mother to this, what would your parents say about you now?
My parents, my father says that calls me stubborn, but
Mm-hmm.
I said, but that's a piece of me that I get from you.
Okay.
But overall, my parents they tell me this all the time that they're proud of me.
Yeah.
Um, they like that I am a go-getter because they see that in my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that I've been able to um, not be a follower, that I, have definitely been a leader and independent, but at times knowing when I need to have a team to help me,
Mm-hmm.
and that I'm not a person that is um, unwilling or uncomfortable with asking for help.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem doing that. But overall, they will say that they're proud of me. They always tell me that I'm a good mom, and that at times I need to slow down and be still.
Mm-hmm.
And but they're proud to have a daughter like me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Nah, most definitely. Yeah. Lastly, what's on deck? What's next for you?
Uh, I've been contemplating this for years. I have uh my business that I started or have been attempting to start is called Black Butterfly Bags and Goods. And it's really a resale business of like vintage bags and accessories or some modern day bags and accessories. So I really want to try to get that moving along.
Okay.
Um, and I just been just there's been like just setbacks over the last year or so that I haven't been able to fully invest all of my time in what I want to do. But I want to continue to volunteer. Hopefully, I can start the Girl Scouts back up in September if that works out. But I feel like, this probably will be my last year of Girl Scouts, just because I want to be able to give more time to other organizations that deal with, um, literacy and
Mm-hmm.
also just the food shortages. My biggest thing is that, I just don't like to see kids hungry. I don't like to see kids without having access to materials to read,
Right.
because I have a love of reading. Um, and I come from, my father is one who reads the newspaper every day. My mom does too. My mom is an avid reader, just everything. So I have that instilled in me, and so that's what I want to do. Want to find more programs related to that, to volunteer time, and to continue to work in the field of child protection, and then support my children in what they're trying to do with their career goals and what they want to do in life, and just be supportive of that. And hopefully over the next year, planning for my daughter to go off to college after she finishes her senior year, which is nerve-wracking in itself. So yeah, that's what's on the plate.
Nah, nah. I mean, it's supposed to be on the plate because the plan is to eat. So
That
it's all good.
absolutely.
It's all good here. Nah, nah. And I'm looking forward to just watching from afar, just with everything. Lisa, thank you, thank you, thank you for this opportunity just to just listen to you a little bit here. The stuff I obviously had no clue about, no matter how much I might hear from Colleen or what have you, but I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity and your time that not only you're giving to me, but you've given to hundreds of people throughout your life. That might be even in thousands, to be honest with you. So you just don't know who's watching you. And I've always been mindful of that, and that goes for you here. Like I said, I sit here just from afar, just admire all the stuff you've gone through or continue to do, the headaches, the accolades, and everything else. And it's going to be a whole lot more accolades coming your way, whether you want them or not, but they coming. So I just wanted to say, no, just thank you for everything you've done and continue to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. This has been a pleasure talking with you,
Mm.
and answering your questions. And I really have enjoyed this. So I'm glad that you reached out and expressed an interest. And
Of course,
it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. So thank you. And I wish you, you know, future success and luck with your podcast, and that you go on to just interview many other great people.
cool, cool. Nah, we'll do. I appreciate it. And we'll be in touch.
All right, you take care.
Absolutely. You too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye bye. Good stuff and a great person. Lisa is, like I said, I just look forward to what she got next and what she's continued to done for hundreds, thousands of people here, her whole life here, journey in the life she's led and continue to lead here. Lisa, thank you so much. With that said, I'm just gonna step off to the side here. You know how I do. I put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.